What would a Roman emperor say about your phone? What would a Japanese swordsman say about your failure? What would a survivor of Auschwitz say about your depression? This is Stoic Rebuttal, a podcast where old philosophers are asked to answer modern problems. One voice per episode, 10 minutes. Now, today's answer. What follows are the evening letters of a man who lived well and badly in almost equal measure. His name was Seneca. He was a statesman of Rome, a playwright, a tutor to the young Emperor Nero, and later the enemy of that same emperor who commanded him to open his veins in a bath. He had been exiled to Corsica for 8 years and then recalled to power, and he never fully trusted either fortune. For years he wrote letters to his friend Lucilius, letters in which he confessed his own failures before he corrected anyone else's. You are not Lucilius. You are a later reader who has picked up the pages in a lamplit room and found them still warm. Do not listen for a man who has mastered life. Listen for a man who is still learning it and who speaks to you as an equal. Listen. It is early evening. The colonnade beyond the study has begun to fill with shadow, and a single lamp has been set on the desk beside the inkwell. Seneca takes up the reed and writes to the only friend he fully tells the truth to, which is Lucilius, and through him to anyone who will read him when he is dust. Lucilius, we are not given a short life. We make it short. I have wasted more hours than I can number, and the worst of them were not stolen from me by tyrants or duty. They were spent in small defaults. A message answered out of habit. A conversation kept alive past its natural end. An afternoon that began with a plan and dissolved into mutterings I cannot now recall. Most of our days are a rehearsal for a life we never quite begin. We postpone the real thing until the quiet week, until the better mood, until the promotion that will somehow free us to become the person we already could have been. And the years do not wait. They spend themselves without asking. Of all men, only those who claim their own time are truly alive. The rest are merely passing through. So let us try something this evening. For the next 3 hours, keep a scrap of paper at your elbow. Circle every minute you genuinely chose. What remains uncircled was not lived. It was endured. And the endured hours are not returned to us. I say this as a man who has lost whole decades the same way, not as a scholar watching from a window. Now I will tell you my own shame, because the lesson will not carry unless I bleed first. A week ago, a man cut in front of me on the road into the city, and for the space of 4 heartbeats, I became an animal. I was ready to call for a slave, for a whip, for the full weight of my name in Rome. And in that moment, I understood something I have written about for 20 years without fully believing. Anger is a brief madness, one we dress up as dignity. We tell ourselves the fool deserved it, that someone had to teach him, that the gods placed us there to correct the world. And meanwhile, the madness has already driven us half a mile from who we wished to be, and the carriage we set out in has arrived without us. The wise see the fire rising and refuse to give it breath, because anger is a fire that consumes its own house first, and the ash it leaves is the character we spent years building. So, when the heat climbs into your chest, count slowly to 10 and name the thing aloud. I am angry because. Watch how the naming loosens the grip of the thing. A named emotion is a smaller emotion. It has been seen, and the seen is easier to govern than the hidden. I have tried 100 cures for my temper. This is the only one that works on the road, in the market, and at the table when a man interrupts me. And now a harder confession, though the ancients knew it before me. Once a month I would leave this villa and take the road without attendance. I would eat a beggar's meal on a wooden board, drink water from a common cup, and sleep on a hard mat under a plain roof. My friends mocked me for it, and the men of the forum said I was performing virtue for the applause of posterity. Perhaps I was. But I had noticed this. The fear of hunger ruled me only while I had never met it. Once I had met it, the fear became a guest I could show the door. We practice poverty not because suffering is noble, but because the thing we flee from is half imagined, and the half we have not seen is always the larger half. What you have not tasted commands you. What you have tasted obeys. So tonight, step into a cold shower for 60 seconds and stand there. Notice that the dread beforehand is louder than the water itself. That is the whole of the lesson, and the lesson is paid for in less than a minute. Do it again next week, and the week after, and watch how many of the chains that govern your hours were made of nothing but the fear of a little cold. The lamp has been refilled. Outside the window, the olive grove has gone black against the last strip of sky, and somewhere beyond the wall, a dog is complaining at the dark. Seneca takes a fresh sheet. The second letter of the evening begins, and it is the harder one. Lucilius. Grief is the debt we owe for having loved at all. None of us pay it gladly. I have lost friends, and I have lost a son, and I have sat longer in the dark than I should ever admit on a page. The body mourns in its own time, and the heart takes the years it needs. But this I learned the hard way. Grief becomes a dwelling if you let it. It offers you a chair, it makes you tea, it knows your name by the second evening, and the years pass in its sitting room while the life outside the window keeps walking by. Let yourself feel the wound fully, and then walk forward, even with the limp. The body heals only when the body is moving, so tonight, set a timer for 15 minutes and sit inside the loss without fighting it. When it rings, leave the house and walk one street. That is not a small thing. That is the turning of the key, and the turning matters more than the distance. And now to the guilt I know many of you carry, because I have carried its twin my whole adult life. I wrote about frugality from a villa. I owned the estate while teaching detachment from it. Laugh if you like, the men of Rome did. But the contradiction is the lesson. The one who cannot loosen his grip is the one who needs the lesson most. And that is why we are talking, you and I. We are not guilty for what our labor has earned us. Guilt is the lazy offering of a wealthy man who will not act. It is a coin dropped into the ground instead of into a hand. We are accountable for the portion we do not need. So let us stop performing our conscience and spend it. Give a specific amount today, however small. Send it now, before the evening closes and the intention cools. Notice whether it leaves you as a loss or as a loosening. A loosening is the body telling you the grip was tighter than you thought. I have felt both in 1 week, and the loosening is the one worth chasing. And the last matter, because I know tomorrow weighs on you. I lie awake the night before I speak in the Senate. You would not guess it from my letters, but I do. I have addressed 4 emperors, and still the night before takes its toll on me. And I have learned only one cure worth passing on. We rehearse the worst in our minds, not to court misery, but to rob disaster of its power to surprise us. The thing imagined in advance arrives as an old guest, not as an assassin. Fortune strikes hardest where we have left our door open. Close that door. Walk through tomorrow in your mind first. Tonight, write down the 3 worst things that could happen. Beside each, write one short sentence. If this happens, I will. That small sentence is the whole of the remedy. And it will do more for your sleep than any wine I could send you. The lamp is beginning to gutter. We have little time, you and I. Spend the rest of it on what is chosen and not endured, on the work that answers to your name, and on the people the lamp still shows. That was Stoic Rebuttal. Thank you for listening. If this one was worth 10 minutes of your life, there will be another one next week. If it was not, tell me what did not land. See you then.